So one of South Africa's biggest workforces is disappearing in front of our very eyes. So we're unpacking the reasons behind this exodus of domestic workers, the new laws that could change how easily you can be fired, and these Chinese car brands overtaking our car markets. And be sure to stick around for the Wildcard as we look back at the 850-kilometer local wine routes that travel writers can't stop raving about. My friends, be sure to hit like and subscribe so you never miss the stories that matter. And now, without further ado, let's get into it. So South Africa still has one of the largest domestic workforces in the world, with approximately 840,000 people. I mean, that's more than 1% of our population. But you see, according to Sweep South's 2025 report, that number is shrinking fast. So how's this? Just 5 years ago, the sector reportedly employed about 1.2 million. Since then, nearly 400,000 jobs have just disappeared, with 19% lost in the past year alone. Now, families are citing two reasons for this: money and movement. So firstly, middle-class salaries just haven't kept up with inflation, so employers are either cutting days or shifting to half-day contracts. And among those who are still able to afford help, many are immigrating, taking entire jobs with them. Now, interestingly enough, remote work has also reshaped habits, with parents now squeezing in chores between Zoom calls. For domestic workers, though, the fallout is brutal. We're talking unstable hours, mounting expenses, and a growing number leaving South Africa altogether in search of better pay. So Sweep South's report says that the future of domestic workers actually lies in the care economy, with childcare and elderly care already expanding and expected to play a far bigger role in the years ahead. But while this pivot may create opportunities, it also signals a truth that households need to face. Domestic work, as South Africans once knew it, likely isn't coming back. South Africa's labor laws are being shaken up for the first time in decades, and best you listen up because this likely affects you. You see, government has gazetted a new code of good practice on dismissals, billed as the most significant labor reform since the 90s. And so, at the heart of it is the recognition that small firms can't be held to the same HR standard as corporates. So essentially, employers with limited resources will no longer be expected to run these same lengthy investigations or formal hearings before letting someone go. So for instance, probation rules have now been loosened with, how's this, suitability, not just performance, now grounds for termination. And as for senior staff, the new code says that dismissals for poor performance may not even require prior warning. So you see, business groups have long argued that these rigid labor laws protect underperforming workers and choke investments. But unions, on the other hand, are understandably furious. SAFTU calls it class warfare, warning that these reforms make it easier for bosses to fire workers under the guise of efficiency. Either way, though, the terrain of hiring and firing in South Africa has officially shifted. Chinese carmakers are no longer fringe players in South Africa. They are now firmly in the country's top 10 sellers. You see, according to NAMSA's latest data, Chery and GWM models moved thousands of units in August, joining Toyota, VW, and Suzuki on the leaderboard. So you see, this shift reflects how household budgets are reshaping the market. Motors' CEO says that middle-class buyers are steering away from premium brands and are rather choosing affordable SUVs and compact hatchbacks instead. For example, Chery's Tiggo 4 Pro sold over 1,300 units in August, while GWM's Haval Jolion topped 1,100, numbers that put them shoulder to shoulder with long-established rivals. Now, in saying that, not everyone else is struggling. I mean, Toyota remains the clear leader, selling more than 13,000 cars in August, with the locally built Corolla Cross hitting a record month. But luxury brands like Audi have admitted that the bottom has fallen out of the high-end market. Either way, though, the bigger picture here is that South Africa's auto landscape is being redrawn in front of our very eyes. And Chinese brands, well, they're now part of the furniture. And before we cruise on to our Bagel Bite of the day, here's a couple other headlines worth knowing. For starters, MTN CEO has dismissed rumors of reviving a telecom takeover, saying that there's no talks, no advisors. Still, though speculation lingers, MTN admits that acquisitions remain on the table as consolidation across South Africa's telecom sector, well, looks inevitable. Goldman Sachs reportedly says that South African equities are undervalued, arguing that growth could accelerate as inflation cools and interest rates fall. While commodities did drive this year's rally, Goldman sees domestic banks, retailers, and industrials primed for a rebound. And Bafana Bafana are on the brink of World Cup qualification after beating Lesotho 3-0. You see, victory over Nigeria tomorrow would seal their first qualification since 2002. And on to the much anticipated Bagel Bite of the day. Let's see what you got. The question is, which African country was formerly known as Abyssinia? Was it A, Ethiopia, B, Sudan, or C, South Sudan? We'll give you the answer at the end of the show. And on to our wildcard section. Forget Napa, forget Bordeaux. The world's longest wine route runs right through South Africa. It's called Route 62, an 860-kilometer stretch linking Cape Town with the Eastern Cape, winding past vineyards, mountain passes, and Karoo desert towns. So the road was laid out as an alternative to the N2 highway, but over time it became a tourist magnet, marketed as the ultimate Cape road trip. You see, it carries you through more than 24 wine towns, with stops in Robertson, Tilbach, Montague, Oudtshoorn, and the Klein Karoo. And each town has its own flavor, from cellar tours and family-run tasting rooms to festivals, farm stalls, and classic Cape architecture. And you see, this isn't just about the wine. Along the way, you'll find hot springs in Montague, ostrich farms in Oudtshoorn, the Kango caves, fruit orchards, and even brandy distilleries. It's the kind of road trip that travel writers around the world keep urging their readers to tick off. And here we have it, right within our borders. And as for that Bagel Bite, the answer is Ethiopia. The name Abyssinia comes from an old Arabic word, but Ethiopians themselves have always called their country Ethiopia or Habesha. It's also one of the only African countries never formally colonized, which is why the name change wasn't just about foreign control, but about stepping into the modern era under its own identity. And my friends, that's it for today's show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Now get out of here. Have a great day, a great night, and I'll catch you all tomorrow for round 3. Cheers.